Right at it. Right at it. Oh, he's done it again. Just as he did at the John Deere for his first win.
Welcome back to episode 57 of the Go Get That podcast. We're back. It's got a little BMW recap, Tour Championship preview. We're recording this on Wednesday the 24th, so it's likely that the guys will be teeing off sometime when you're watching this, unless you're watching this in the morning or listening in the morning. But it's also the same day that the Tour Jay Monahan had his press conference, and then Tour Commissioner Rory McIlroy had his right after. So plenty to talk about there. Rory and Tiger have some new things, so there's a lot to talk about and get into. Whole squad's here. Sorry, my lighting is terrible, but you guys look fantastic. So it's
well, you look great, Dan.
Good to be back. The home stretch.
Yes, sir. We're recording this on Wednesday just because we've been busy, and it's actually, funny enough, probably good that we're late getting to this just because of all the news that dropped today. We got everything to talk about. We can recap the BMW. We have to preview the Tour Championship. We can preview the new stuff the Tour laid out today. You got this tomorrow TMRW Arcade Monday Night Golf League.
I am so lost. I've really tried to disconnect from social media until it's tea time tomorrow, which I'll be a little late for because I have tryouts for school, but it's only 9 holes and it starts at like 11. So I come back today and all of a sudden I see a Club Pro Guy tweet from Tiger Woods. And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I don't know what the details are. I assume it's cool, but like at this point, I'm just like, where the hell has normal gone in the sport? It's crazy. It really is. There's no normalcy or to this sport at all right now. I'm looking. I get the Monday Night League is going to be like in a stadium and it's going to be 18 holes, but like it's all going to be like pitch and putt type things or something. And like you go to different spots and which is cool. I think that actually is really cool. But like it's a top PGA Tour players. How much does that affect the schedule? Does the PGA Tour get involved or is that purely Tiger? I'm really interested to see who plays it. Because I'm sure there's some people like the Brooks Koepkas of the world, if he was still on the PGA Tour, that like wouldn't have any interest in it. So I'm interested to see who plays it, and I also am super clueless on what this whole TMWR thing is.
TMRWA thing, but so we can answer a couple of your questions. So the PGA Tour is collaborating with is it the TGL, right, Dan? Is it the TGL?
I think it's the TGL.
So the TGL, the Monday Night League, or whatever you want to freaking call it, they are collaborating with the PGA Tour, Bob. So the PGA Tour is like fully on board with it.
PGL?
No, the
TGL.
The TGL. We have a lot of terms here.
I was so confused. I was like, what have I missed?
So the TGL, the Monday Night League,
is the Tiger Golf League, right?
The Tiger Golf League. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
The Monday night. We have so much. Everyone says golf is boring. That's the exact opposite right now. So
this isn't even golf right now. This is like, I don't even know.
The thing about the TGL too is it doesn't start till not this next January, but the January after. So we've got plenty of time to discuss that, and I'm sure we'll learn a lot more about it as it comes about. I don't know, maybe start with the BMW kind of recap, and then go from there, or like do we want to go chronologically here? Or the BMW was quite the tournament. I loved how Wilmington played, Wilmington Country Club. I thought it was firm. It was
Great
fast.
course. Great course. Yeah.
I thought it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
It looked good on TV. Some good challenging holes, some holes that were birdie holes, a good mix. And I can't lay winning because he was just better than everybody, and that's how you win tournaments. I don't know, but Jordan, you were there, so what do you think
Can I say
of
one thing
Wilmington?
first? I want to look
Yeah.
back to last podcast. Jordan talked about how Wilmington would probably get some majors. I think it's a really good course for a major if they could harden it up. What was the winning score like?
It was 14.
13 or 14.
Yeah, like that's fine for PGA if they want to just harden it up a bit, get it down to 10. It could be a good PGA course.
Yeah, they've
They
hosted
could.
like 5 or 6 USGA events. So I mean,
Okay.
it's
I was
definitely
gonna
been
say
tested.
a U.S. Open. They could get a U.S. Open. Like they could get some carnage there if they put a U.S. Open there. I mean, if the fairways were as firm as they were, they're all kind of tilted. And you get some bounces into the rough and things like that from the fairways. I'm thinking of specifically the 12th, I think, that par 5 with the water in front. You had to like hit a draw into the left side to hold the fairway, or snap hook it into a tree and have it kick back into the fairway. But it was I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think the BMWs are a lot more fun when they're more difficult. Granted, this wasn't Olympia Fields difficult, but it was certainly more entertaining, and it looked really good on TV. So that was fun as well. But you were there, so what'd you make of your experience there?
It was a lot of fun. It's great for spectators. I know after being at the US Open with Bob, there were a few holes at the country club that you kind of had to run to get to not miss Jordan. There was none of that at Wilmington. Obviously, it's a newer course. It's, I guess, built for this. It's been renovated recently, but it was awesome for spectators. I mean, you walk from one hole, you walk to the next. There's no having to run around this, run around that. I, from my perspective, the parking situation was awesome too, and it could host a major. It's a big property. I don't see why it couldn't host a major. I think time will tell on that. The BMW is coming back to Caves Valley too, which is in my neck of the woods. So I'd be kind of shocked if either the BMW didn't go back to Wilmington in the future, or if a major tries to pick it up at some point. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
Going back to the parking situation, I mean, I just want to go back a bit. I mean, the way the US Open did that was like, I was like shocked at how well the parking thing was at the US Open, because Travelers is really easy to park at because you can just park at a house and walk in the back. It's easy. But Cromwell, Connecticut is very different than the area of Brookline. Brookline's very like packed. That area, like houses are right next to each other. There's not many open area. I mean, it was really impressive how they got that done. TPC Boston is a crapshoot. I mean, that's a disaster. From experience.
Was the mortgage good?
What?
The mortgage was good. Yeah, I mean, we paid for like a pass and just parked at like one of the Wayne State University, and then we had a bus over there. So
Yeah,
it worked out pretty well. It actually didn't take us that long to get out of it after Sunday either. So it wasn't too bad. Yeah, but that's my kind of only experience with PGA Tour parking. But yeah, it was cool to see Scott Stallings up there. I know he's not like the most fan favorite, but I thought he flushed it all weekend and he didn't back down. He just didn't make a 20-footer the last few holes to get to 14, and Cantlay got some breaks, man. The bounce on 17 on Sunday was stupid. But he took advantage of it, and good for him. I mean, it sets himself up really nicely going into next week, or this week, I should say, tomorrow. He's only 2 back now, and in the final group with Scotty, so good for him. Trying to think of any other like notable names. Shoffley played well. Who finished third? Schauffele and
Stallings, I
somebody
think.
else was at 11 under.
I don't know.
Remember.
I didn't watch. I will say this about the tournament. There are plenty of times where I just like Beats playing like very bad, where I just lose the passion. Like I'm still watching the round, but I'm so thrown off by the game that I just forget to tweet sometimes. This was the first time ever since I started the account where I didn't have anything to do and I stopped watching the golf tournament on what was it? On Friday.
Friday.
Not Friday. What was it?
Saturday or
Saturday.
Saturday. The collapse. I have never in my life been so disappointed in like a round. Not because necessarily the way it happened, but no, actually it is the way it happened. The fact that he birdied the first 2 holes and then doubled and then bounced back great and then just made as soft a bogey as you can make. It's
7. He 3-putted 7, bogey 8,
and
bogey 9.
I just didn't want to watch. I didn't want to watch. I didn't want to go through it for the rest of the round. I didn't know that he was going to explode like that, but like I did not want to like see his golf game that day. It was so bad. It was as punishing as a fan as I've ever watched a golf round, a singular golf round.
The 6-7 stretch kind of encapsulated his season.
Yeah.
Like 6, beautiful recovery, the ball striking, gets him back in it after 5. He hits a dart to 3 feet, makes the putt. And then 7, it's what's plagued him all year, the putter. He 3 putts and then the wheels just fall off.
Yeah. Four 3-putts on Saturday. And it's just, you shoot a 74. And I think the most frustrating thing about it too is that just like it clearly it didn't go well after the double bogey on 5 in which he tried to hit that bunker shot. Obviously, he actually like in his interview today, he backed it up, said that he would he said 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 times he's hitting the green. So
I agree with him.
Yeah, I'm fine with him going forward too.
I mean, I think in that situation it wasn't worth it, but I don't think his reasoning was wrong. Like I think he just didn't execute it well at all.
Yeah.
Like I think he could have done it.
Right.
I'm not nearly as mad at that. It was frustrating. I'm not nearly as mad as that as I was at the soft 3 that derailed the round.
Right. Well, and then he followed up with another one on 8 and another one on 9. I think another one on 10. Like it just the bogeys were just present. And I just part about the 3 putts is just like some he had I think like 80 feet on 9, and that was always going to be a tough 2-putt. But just it would have been so nice to just take 3 of those 3 putts out. I mean, it's a lot easier to say than it is to have happen, but like and shoot a 71 and you're not out of it entirely, right? But instead, especially at the last when he had 17 feet, I'm sure he tried to make it and ran it 4 feet by and then missed that too. And it's just you're just shooting yourself in the foot for no reason, taking yourself out of tournaments. Thankfully, he finished pretty well on Sunday, right? 5 birdies in the last 7 to kind of.
Yeah, that was wild. Yeah. I was just giving hole by hole updates because I was on the course and I didn't feel like I needed to make Nick track that.
Yeah,
because I feel like that would have been.
I mean, Nick was on it this week,
and Nick just jumped on the account.
He was on it this week, and I will say, like,
Nick's been wanting to get on the podcast. We'll have to have Nick on at some point to thank him for all of his. I've had a very busy summer. I was not expecting to be this busy this summer. Yeah. But then again, he hasn't played that much. And
I mean,
most of the time he's played was been in the morning, like overseas.
People ask too, like, somebody that might have been a little bit of a joke, like how, what's the contrast, Fire Bob, all that good stuff.
I'm a curse.
And I think when Nick was on, he was 11 under this week, and he was +5 when you were on, Bob.
You're kidding me with those stats.
So
You put those together? Like those are real
Yeah.
stats.
Well, because I remember Nick did most of Thursday and Friday, right?
Nick did Thursday. I did Friday.
Oh, I thought he did Friday too.
No, I did
Okay, so
Friday.
then Nick is -7, and you're +1.
That's still so brutal.
That's an 8-shot swing right there.
Yeah, and I looked it up for the season too.
But then on Saturday, you look at how he was at 9 under, and then he went down to 2 under. Nick
Yeah.
tracked the rest to get him back up to 6.
Right. No, that's what I'm
He
saying.
tracked the last 5 birdies.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
my
he did.
god.
And I for the whole season too. I did somebody asked me about it, and I was like, all right, let me see what I can pull out here.
How long did this
So
take
Jordan-
you?
Not as long as I thought it would. But he's 91 under this year in all of his tournaments. I just went to his website and like added them all up. And based on scrolling through some tweets on the computer, because it's easier than the mobile phone. Backups,
No, you
Backup?
did not.
backups are 82 under, and Bob is 9 under. I
You have
mean,
got to be kidding me.
No, it's just
Well, Bob
It
had
is-
on the U.S. Open
it's-
round, so that hurts.
yeah. You had some of the majors like the PGA, the U.S. Open, the
Oregon.
Masters. Like, it's not good. But,
Well, to be fair, I tracked all the majors, and that wasn't so hot.
right, yeah.
I'm
mean,
in
even-
shambles.
even the
I'm
good
in
rounds-
shambles.
Even the good rounds at St. Andrews, I think Nick tracked one of them too. So, but I thought that was fantastic. But regardless, I don't know if we have any more BMW thoughts. We're all over the place at the moment.
I hope they get that. I hope they get an event soon again. Also,
I'm gonna start the East Lake talk by saying it's a little underwhelming going into a week where you have like no chance at win because of the fact that you're 8 shots back to start. Can he win? Yes. 8 shots is not that big. Like the way a lot of people think of it is like 8 shots after like 1 round or 2 rounds. Like there's a lot of things that can happen. What was the winning score last year? Like 14, 13?
well, without the
No, I
starting
think-
strokes,
No, with the starting strokes.
I think it was 18 or 19.
Oh
I think
yeah,
Cantlay,
Speed's
I
good.
think Cantlay was. I think
think
he
it was
11
more than
under
that.
for the week. I think it might have been 21. I think Cantlay was 11 under for the week, and like Kevin Na and somebody else were 13 or 14.
Cantlay was 11 for the week, so yeah, 21. Rom and Na were 14 under without starting strokes.
Dude.
So, and what's funny too with the new OWGR format, winning the non-starting stroke event isn't actually like it's like a T3 at Augusta or a T2 at Augusta maybe. Like it's not that many OWGR points just based on field size and stuff like that, which is also another thing. New OWGR system is up and running and already seeing a few changes. Apparently Cantlay would have moved to 2 if it was still the old ranking with his win last week, but he's currently 3. So,
Oh yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
That's-
know. Go ahead.
That's kind of what like I'm focused on this week. Like, I mean, realistically, if Spieth starts at 2, he's got to shoot 19 under for 4 days,
Yeah.
which isn't going to happen. But if he does come, if you take away the starting strokes, I saw Nosferatu tweeted it out. If Spieth were to win, shoot the lowest score without starting strokes, he'd get back inside the top 10 in the world rankings. That's kind of my goal this week. He's not winning the FedEx Cup, if we're being honest. He needs to make way too many putts. I don't see it happening.
If he wins the FedEx Cup, I will give away my account to Nick full time.
If I'm Bob, I feel pretty comfortable with that too.
Yeah.
I'm
The other thing too is in one perspective, right? He's 8 back, so it's just kind of a lot. But if you just beat Scheffler
Think
by
of it, but you
if
can
you
think
beat
of it
Scheffler
more
by
of
2 a day,
you can think of it more like 4 back going into the weekend if you're playing well. Because you have to cut it in half, but you also have to play well. Like if you think about it, if you're 4 back going into the weekend in a normal event, you're playing well. Right? So he's 8 back, but with 4 rounds, but we don't know how he's gonna play.
right? The other thing too, from what I remember about Eastlake, just watching it in the past and playing it on video games and whatnot, you just can't really miss fairways out there and expect to score because there's trees, the rough is brutal, the holes are difficult for the most part. Like you have to hit some really good shots to have a really good round, and the way Jordan was off the tee last week does not make me feel very good about this week. I mean, he hit like 35% of his fairways last week. I mean, that's awful. Like really bad. And I
Well,
think he was second to last. Somebody was worse, which is insane.
I think
Well-
JT was really
How
bad.
it's possible. Oh, really?
I think so.
he's- I'm looking back at some tweets, some of my replies, and one that just sticks out is I remember him replying this is when he hit the fairway bunker on 5, someone replied, he can't hit a fairway to save his life. This is gonna come back to bite him in the butt at some point. And lo and behold.
'Cause, yeah, if you look at the first couple rounds, the fact that he got to 9 under was impressive. 8 under. Sorry.
7.
Like, well, he got to 8 though on
Oh, yeah, and he bogeyed 18, of course. Yeah, my bad.
Right. But no, I just like the fact that I think he just kind of lost some patience. And that's what had kind of rewarded him throughout the first couple days. And you're gonna need a lot of it this week at Eastlake. Problem is he's 8 shots back.
I don't think he'll be patient.
I mean,
so
I'm
can't
already
really
looking
be that
forward
patient.
into the fall. I as this usually happens for us. The FedEx Cup hype lives about 1 or 2 rounds into the first event, and that's about it.
You might be nice there.
Well, the past 2 seasons at least, because he's had a chance, and then he's blown up, and it's been
Yeah.
disastrous.
That's just the
If-
format.
Yeah, like if Spieth was number 1 going into this week, it would be super hype.
Of course.
Doesn't make it any less fraudulent of a tournament.
Right.
But-
Well, yeah, it's just like not having the starting strokes too. I mean, if he shoots over par in round 1, he
Like,
could be
what's-
I don't know, 14 shots back going into round 2. And it's like how fun is that? You know, that's not that interesting. So we'll see. I mean, he's off around 1 o'clock with Neiman. I think there's quite a bit of rain at Eastlake this week. There might be a few delays Friday. So we'll have to, you know, if you're watching and he's in it, we'll have to kind of
Yeah.
deal with that a little bit. But a soft Eastlake puts a priority on hitting the fairway, obviously, because it probably will be lift clean in place. 'Cause they've gotten some rain. So regardless, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. They're lucky that Scheffler's number 1 still, because he at this point, unless Cam Smith wins, he should be.
If Scott Stallings won the FedEx Cup, issues.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of the point, right? Is like,
Issues.
and well, the fact that Cantlay too is 2 shots back. Like Cantlay was not the second best guy this year.
No, he just got his
And-
first win. Scotty's got 5.
Yeah,
Is it 5 or
and
4?
Cantlay- I think it's 4.
4. My bad.
I mean, to be fair, Cantlay's had a bunch of top 10s. He got edged out in 2 playoffs. And he
I
won the
don't
Zurich.
care. Sorry, Dan. I don't care.
But it's like, no, it's just
I mean,
he's
Scotty's got
not. I guess he's not bad, but he doesn't deserve to be only 2 back if everybody
no.
else is below that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Scotty has 4 wins and 4 runners ups,
yeah.
runners up, whatever you want to call it. And a third, and a fourth. Like it's just not close.
So
I feel like the tours got to be rooting for Scotty just for integrity purposes.
they have to be.
Although they will say Cantley's a 2-time winner because of the win at the Zurich,
Yeah.
which is
Uh,
ridiculous.
If Cantley wins the FedEx Cup, he's a 3-time winner.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that just doesn't make any sense.
And
But
he even said it in his press conference, I think yesterday, like there has to be a better format, but even he kind of admitted like I don't know what that format is.
yeah, I think it. Most fans can come up with a more interesting way, more interesting format.
Like the
In
players
terms of
gotta like it.
in terms of match play, but I think stroke play to me has to be the tournament. But I just don't know how you do it. You know, it just doesn't. Just not sure how you add it up, but who knows? Maybe that'll get changed soon. I mean, there's a lot of other changes that went on from Rory, Tiger, Monahan. I mean, because there was that meeting last week in Delaware with all the top guys. No laying up reported about it. Most other golf media outlets reported, but no laying up had the like who's there, who's not, and it was a lot of people who were there. A lot of the top tour guys were there, coming up with the plans that Monahan laid out, kind of laid out, and then Rory followed up with some of the layout stuff. And I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on the new changes, but
So sorry.
no, go ahead.
So the main change, which I mean, there's a lot of like changes. Like, I mean, we're a golf podcast, but obviously centered on Jordan. Like, there's a few of them that don't necessarily matter to Jordan, but the big one obviously was the mandatory playing of the 12 elevated events, which include obviously the majors, the players, the Century Tournament Champions, Genesis, Bay Hill, which Jordan Spieth will be playing for the foreseeable future, which is now an
Wait,
elevated
so it's
event.
mandatory to play these?
It is mandatory if you finish
For
you're
who?
qualified to be a
For
top
PIP.
player,
If you are
which
top 20 in
Spieth
PIP.
will be a top player.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're a top 20 in the PIP, it's now top 20. It's a $100 million purse now for the PIP, which is new. It went from 50 million to 100 million for the PIP. If you're in the PIP, you got to play the events. So Genesis, Bay Hill, Memorial, Match Play, the 3 playoff events. And then the big one, which is to be determined, there will be 4 more elevated events coming in 2022, which they still have not announced yet. Jordan will have to play them.
Well, there's an easy loophole out of that one, but yeah, it's
What is
interesting.
it?
What's your loophole? There isn't a loophole.
My back's tight on Thursday.
That's fair.
You-
But
you
okay,
can
but
go
they're
that
not gonna.
They're not going to, but like if there's one tournament like someone really doesn't want to play, like they're not gonna.
See, the thing with that though is the PGA Tour being the like brotherhood that it is and the fraternity. I think that would turn off a lot of players, especially when all these guys are agreeing to that. Like,
Yeah,
I'm sure in the meetings
yeah.
they're verbally agreeing to that. I'm just really curious to see the 4 more to be determined. I'm happy he's gonna be at Bay Hill, which is he should have been there
Yes.
this year.
Well, the 4 more to be determined are gonna rotate every year,
Which is also that's sick.
which is I think is sick because you're not gonna get like the John Deere Classic is gonna get Rory, JT, Spieth, Tiger if healthy, like
Ranch, baby.
Rom, yeah, Craig Ranch is gonna get the attention it deserves. The Valspar will be back in like obviously Phoenix, Torrey, they'll still get their guys. Colonial will have a studded field. The Canadian Open will be sick. The Dante Mexico Open, like over the course of the next 4 or 5 years, the top players are going to play at all these courses that they may not have played at.
Which is
the one
sick.
thing I did think about is schedule wise, like if a lot of guys, if they're gonna have to play the John Deere, they probably won't want to have to play the Travelers as well, because then they'll probably play the Scottish Open before playing the Open. So, they just don't want to they want to make sure that they're not playing 5 weeks in a row because it's major and then events that they have to play. So my guess is they'll kind of cut the season up into quarters, and they'll have to go play the Sanderson Farms, the Sony Open.
That's gonna be a problem though for sponsors, because like Spieth has to play all the AT&T events. That could create some problems in the schedule. He might have to skip an event that he doesn't want to skip.
Well, but it's not like he's playing. Fortunately, he'll probably just have to skip the Travelers. And he'll probably have to skip.
That's not a fortunately for me, but
No, unfortunately, like he's gonna just have to skip the non AT&T events, because he's definitely playing the AT&T events. So he's not skipping those, because as much as the commitment to the tour means, the commitment to AT&T is also equally as, and it's only
he's
2
out of a
them.
contract if he doesn't show up at the AT&T events.
Right. It's so
it'll be interesting to see the elevated events, because I mean, there's a very good chance some of the elevated events could be ones he already plays. I think there's a very good chance the Schwab will be one of them this coming year. I've heard the Waste Management maybe. Which, do you guys want him back there next year? Or?
Yeah, it's a sick event.
Okay, so I think that could be one.
I mean, it's a course that he should play well at.
Yeah. But anyway, the only concern I have about these elevated events, the new ones, like, what's the field size gonna be? Because I still want the Charles Schwab to have a cut. I don't want it to be a 65-man WGC at Colonial.
Yeah, I don't want that either.
It will.
I don't want
Monahan addressed that today. He said there will be cuts.
Okay. I want them to still just have the top guys, but then also have like the rest of the field there.
Yeah, like you don't want it to become 8 live events a year.
Right. Yeah.
Like you don't want that.
You want the top guys and then the next best 90 guys there. Right. Like, I think fields of 120 for those, whatever those elevated events are, is perfect. They don't have to be the 154 man or whatever it is.
Yeah.
For like normal, like, say, I can't think of a tournament that might be elevated like that, but or not, have 154 just off the top of my head, because I'm not sure which ones do. But like the Memorial has 120, Bay Hill has 120, the Genesis has 120. If these other elevated events, I think they should have 120, because WGCs aren't that interesting to me. So give me these elite fields with other names, and have a guy like, I don't know, maybe Sahith Theegala wins at Waste Management next year, and it's one of those elevated events, right? So everybody's there and he wins. That would be massive for him, massive for the tour, and then that would get him into all the rest of the elevated events, right? So I think that's the way they got to do it, because if they start splitting themselves into like the elite and the not elite or whatever of the tour, then I think it just creates more divide.
And then the not elite's never going to become elite.
Right.
Jordan Spieth really like the PGA Tour doesn't survive without tournaments like the John Deere, and that that is how people get to where they get.
Right. So my guess
you
is
can't just
that,
eliminate that factor.
Yeah, my guess is that if you win, you probably get into an elevated event.
Yeah.
Or like if you've got a couple top 10s, you probably get into an elevated event.
Yeah.
Right. It's got to be some sort of, because I don't want to see 50-man fields. And I want to see storylines. And the thing too is, like, the other non-elevated events are still going to matter to the guys that aren't in the elevated events. Like they should, because there should be some perk to get them into the elevated events. Like maybe to top 5 or whatever. right? If you top 5, you're into the next one. You win, you're into the rest of them for the rest of the year or whatever. So, I I think they've still got a lot to kind of lay out, and clearly Monahan didn't have like all the answers, because it was a Tiger and Rory led thing. But I think it's that part of the schedule it makes me more excited about. And I think next year there'll be weeks where there's a lot more excitement in general instead of just the kind of consistent, like decent field monotony that occurs on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I think that's pretty well said. Jordan was obviously in the players' meeting in Delaware last week, and he spoke to the media today, and he said that what Jay laid out today was just the tip of the iceberg. He obviously knows more than I think Jay gave off, and what Jay knows as well. It's a very fluid situation. There's a lot of time to go until the first elevated event. We'll see the criteria that'll be laid out, how you get into them, the size of the fields, which we don't know yet. I mean, it's only August 24th. Kapalua's what, 3.5, 4 months to go. And as we've seen with the news the tour laid out of the Travelers, the news they laid out today, the players led meeting in Delaware, a lot can change quickly. Like when they get stuff done, that's kind of what Rory also said in his press conference today. He was asked about being on the PAC, the Player Advisory Council, and he's like, yeah, it's tiring, but his favorite part is when they get work done. And we've kind of seen just over the last couple months that they've got quite a bit done.
Yeah, no, a lot of good steps. And for the forget who tweeted it. It might be Dylan the chair on Twitter. He talked to forget the tour player's name. But they were like 138th in the FedEx Cup this year.
Martin Trainer, right?
Yeah, Martin Trainer. So basically Martin's thoughts are that the rich get richer, which is clear, but there's still some benefits for the guys that aren't in those aren't in the top 20 of the PIP, because it's now you're guaranteed 500 grand. So if you play 15 events and you don't make 500 grand in those events, you receive 500 grand at the end of the year.
That's cool, actually.
Yeah, you receive
Because I
5K
feel like
if you miss a cut and you're outside of the top 125. So you receive travel expenses if you're not playing that well, which is also good, right? Because a lot of guys complain about the price it costs, the cost that it is to play every week at championship level golf courses.
I mean, golf is one of the hardest jobs, like financially, probably in sports, just purely because of the fact that there's so many people and there's so little Scotty Schefflers and so little Jordan Spieths and so little like those Korn Ferry Tour guys. They are by no means rich at all. Like they're they're going out there to put food on the table. Like that's their job. And I feel like if you make it to the PGA Tour, you definitely shouldn't be having that problem.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think you kind of said it pretty well. I mean, I thought what was really interesting today, listening to Rory talk, as he was asked, was Phil right about the things he said about the tour? And Rory obviously didn't want to give Phil too much credit, but he basically said, yeah, a lot of the stuff that Phil said about the tour, keeping money. I mean, just look at the money the tour is putting in now that they weren't putting in, even 6 months ago to the game, these elevated events. So Phil is definitely right. I think the three of us could probably agree he definitely went about it the wrong way. But it's very interesting to see how much the tour has changed in just a matter of months.
No. I'd say Phil was right about almost everything he said about the PGA Tour and went about it in almost the worst way possible. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I think that was kind of the general consensus in golf Twitter world today too, is like, unless one of those accounts that just popped up in June of 2022 or whatever would disagree. But
Crazy,
dude. Phil was right. The tour was not in a they weren't doing as much as they could have been doing. And I think now Tiger's like, yeah, that's true. Rory's like, yeah, that's very true. And they're starting to kind of move the needle on what fans want, what the players want, what the tour can provide. And it can only get better really here, right? And I think the tour did a good job of kind of establishing what they're going to be, kind of what's coming. And it looks like they're going to survive kind of this next wave of guys going to live as well, because a bunch of that's been reported that it's Cam Smith, Mark Leishman. So an Australian team might be formed, but Hideki apparently is not going to go. Cam Young seems to be leaning no.
Yeah.
God, who was
Neiman.
Neiman also seems to be leaning no. Like there were some names that especially Hideki, if Live Tour got the PGA Tour is struggling to fill those shoes, and with these new changes and whatnot.
No, yeah, I think
they've done a good job taking a good step.
There are a lot of people there are a lot of people more like popular than Hideki, but in terms of replaceable, I mean, I don't really think you can replace Cam Smith. There are very few people that you can't replace. You can't replace Tiger. You can't replace Rory. You can't replace Spieth. You probably can't even replace JT. But you really can't replace Hideki for what he's done in the Eastern Hemisphere. I mean, he is their idol. He is golf in the Eastern Hemisphere. I mean, he's the only prominent Asian player prominent since in terms of known likeness, probably who was the Thai player?
VJ?
No.
He's Fiji. You got
old.
KJ Choi. I mean,
KJ Choi was huge. I was thinking
Y.E. Yang.
No.
He took down Tiger though.
Hey, you got Sungjae today though, but I get you. Bob's 100% correct.
Tom Kim.
Tom.
He's still gonna 6-5 speed at Quail Hollow.
Just one thing while Bob thinks about who it is.
JD. What's his first name? Tongshai. That's what it is. He's very old. He was a Thai player, and he was really famous over there.
Wow.
He had he created this huge driving range over there, and got golf started in Thailand. So
the more you know.
Without him, we wouldn't have Kiradech Apibarna, which is good.
Bob educating. I didn't know that. But one thing on Cam Smith, I don't know if you guys heard this today. Rory said during his presser that he talked with Cam Smith after the Open when all the rumors started flying that Cam was going to live. I still think Cam is going to live. I think that's going to happen. But Rory was telling him how Cam, he wanted to make sure Cam knew all the facts and what was real. Because obviously in these contracts with Liv and the talks, I guarantee Liv is spewing fake stuff about the tour. So Rory said after the Open, he sat down with Cam Smith to explain to him what's real and what's not. And I thought that was really interesting. Just hearing that, I'm shocked that Rory would actually tell us that. I think usually, we heard about the player meeting, but that was definitely going to get out regardless. Usually the player to player stuff, that usually stays pretty private. I thought it was really cool that Rory came out to say that, and I still think Cam's going, but I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Well, did you watch his presser live?
I did.
Okay, because I saw it and I was shocked that he was saying that he talked to Cam Smith and what he talked to Cam Smith about. But I think Rory is, it's been pretty obvious for a while now. He's the tip of the spear in terms of leading the PGA Tour. And obviously Tiger in the end of the day is just a bomb. If Tiger wants something to happen, Tiger will get something to happen. But Rory, I think, is the leader of the normal people. Even though he's not he's quite
not normal
in
best
his
of his
skill.
generation,
but he's a more normal figure. Like I think he's what 5'10". So, um, anyway, my whole point about this is that in Spieth's press today, he said something about how he needs to talk more, and I thought that was very accurate because everybody seems to love his press conferences, and I think he's got a lot of really interesting thoughts going on in his head,
Yeah.
at all times. So I'd love to
Yep.
hear him say more stuff because
Yeah.
I think JT's got some good stuff, but if you put Rory and Spieth saying all the stuff that they're saying and thinking together, like that is really powerful. Because
Yeah.
I don't think JT has the same. He's not quite as mystical as Spieth is, and maybe that's just because of the way his career's gone. But like Rory's got this like mystique, and I think Spieth has it a little bit more, definitely more than JT. And I think that would be powerful, and I'm glad he recognized that. It seemed like a pretty good presser. I haven't watched it, but
It's really good.
the question seemed a lot more interesting than the normal like, what do you love about playing matches with Tony Romo in Texas? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. And I think a large part of just hearing from Jordan more is just him. I don't know who conducts the interviews, who asks for who to talk. But I mean, Rory talks like every single week. Spieth, I mean, even compared to last year, he just hasn't been in the interview room as much. Obviously, hasn't been as good as he was last year. But he talked. He just isn't in the interview. He isn't on the schedule as much. But yeah, today
I actually had
it
a
was really
theory.
good.
I actually had a theory about that. I just think I just think he doesn't want to talk about what he's going through, like with the swing. I think he's actually working really hard on his swing, like on off weeks and stuff. And I don't think he's ready to give answers on it yet. Like I still think I just think he's trying to be in his own world right now, to get it figured out. Because I mean, I wish he would spend a little more time putting green, but he he's grinding really hard, like on the range, everywhere we see him.
Yeah.
So he's definitely trying to find something, and I don't think he's ready to like give the answers because I don't think he has them
Yeah,
yet.
I
I think that's part of it.
yeah, I might have mentioned it a pot ago, but I think the swing stuff last year was a band-aid, and
Yeah.
this was a little bit more of a like actual surgical healing process. And so I think it's taken some time. Because he's still, I mean, it's easy to forget now because it's been a couple years, but he was so bad for 2 years. So that takes time to kind of reverse it all, and hopefully next year it all starts to click. But I mean, he's still got to gear up for the President's Cup. I know that that's on paper not maybe what it was going to be, especially if Cam Smith leaves, because that's obviously probably their best player. But Will Zalatoris is now WD. And originally, everybody thought it was kind of just going to be the first 12 names on the list. And now there's an open spot. So I was curious before we kind of wrap it up here. Like, any name? I know Bob's going to be Team Kisner all the way, but I'm not sure if you guys have any other thoughts on
Well, here's my thing.
that last spot.
Here's my thing. Kiz is known for playing very well at very specific courses, and there's a reason why he didn't. There's a reason why last year when he didn't get picked for the team, like there was a very clear argument was that Whistling Straits was just physically too long, which makes sense. I don't think you can be mad at it because I mean we killed them, but I do think here there's a point because last year he had the form, and he still is playing fine at courses he usually does. Played well at Travelers, played well at the match play. Like he's still playing fine. He did miss the cut at Wyndham, but he doesn't usually play well at Wyndham. That 1 year. So I think it should be Kiz. I think that he's really good history at Quill Hollow. He led the tournament. He's led the tournament a few times. I don't think he's ever won, but he's got good history there. I think it should be Kiz. I think Wise is another really good name. I think Thigala is a good name. But I think Kiz brings that energy that I don't think Wise does. I just don't think. I just don't. I think Kisner would serve a better purpose. and I think Thigala could serve that purpose too. I would not be against Thigala at all. I just don't.
I think you've listed the 3 guys that I would consider.
Well, what does the point standings look like? Let me pull that up.
The point, if you look at the top 12, and if Zalatoris is healthy, I think it's really easy. It's just a top 12.
Yeah, very easy.
But now with him out, I think obviously Tom Hoagie's right there.
Tom
No.
Hoagie's not getting
Don't see
picked.
Tom Hoagie. JT Poston has also been
Possible, but I really doubt it.
I don't
I
think
think
he's-
Kisner's the next guy.
I think it's so. I think the 3 guys are Wise, Kisner, and Thigala, and
And Varner.
maybe
No,
Varner,
I'm kidding.
maybe. I just feel like
Varner is not in contention.
they don't need. I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Hold on, I have a
maybe-
dark horse pick. Really dark horse. Keegan Bradley.
Has he been on a team before? I feel like he has.
He's been on the Ryder Cup team. Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah. When he won his major, he was on the team.
Yeah. No.
I would be so for that.
That'd be cool, but I
He'd be awful for
I
that
don't
though,
know.
because he can't.
I think too though, looking at team fit, like last year a lot of people talked about, like for the Ryder Cup, it was man, the US just runs out the same guys and they don't get the win. And it's like, nah, this is a different team. Like there's 4 new rookies. Spieth and JT have played the most out of these guys. Spieth, JT, and DJ played the most out of these guys. Like it's a different team than the one that keeps getting kind of beat up with Tiger and Phil. And even this team's different. Berger's gone, Koepka's gone, DJ's gone, Young's in, Horschel will be in, and I'm forgetting somebody. Homa will also be a on the team now.
That's awesome.
So it's like I don't know if you really need the like Kiz fire. And I just think Thigala and Finau would be a sick pairing. Somebody said that on Twitter. Like they just have the most swag of all time. And
Dude,
I can't
Finau is going to be a force to be reckoned with now that he can. Like in the future, like he is a very dangerous player that I'm very afraid of in the
Well,
future.
it's funny how a lot of dudes kind of I hate to do this, but I have to give a little props to Xander Legion, who said that all the guys who like were known as not winners this year.
Yeah.
It kind of has been.
Yeah.
Finau, Scheffler, Schauffele, might be another name here that I'm forgetting, but like those guys are all 3 really talented.
Zalatoris.
Zalatoris, like it's kind of the year of the breakthrough.
Yeah.
And those are all Americans.
Yeah.
So it seems like this is going to be some kind of
I was just saying that, like,
hollow.
I was looking at FanDuel for some bets for this week, and I've determined that we just shouldn't do bets because it's a disaster with starting stroke. But
I don't disagree. I'll take my silver medal, Dan. You can take your bronze. Can I give my
Hey.
President's Cup
It's a
takes
podium.
right now on this last pick?
I actually want to do that right now. I was looking at the lines. I'm like, I know it's juiced, but minus 330 for the United States is an inaccurate line. I just don't see a world in which the United States loses this.
Well,
event.
here's the thing,
With the
right?
team
You have to remember that the international team is already up one point because we've already given Tom Kim a 6-5 over speed. So you have to factor that in.
Thanks,
It's
Dan.
true.
And I'm sure the books have done the same. Right?
This is true.
So I mean that's that's not, I don't know lines like that, but that seems like fine. You guys think it's gonna be a US route?
I think it'll be
don't-
close
I
to
don't-
the Ryder Cup.
I don't necessarily think route, but I do not think there's a chance in the world that it's even a tie. Like the United States will win.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would put thousands and thousands of dollars on
So you think it'll be a comfortable lead the whole way out?
I haven't really thought about it. I can't fathom an international win.
Yeah. No, I think we'll obviously we'll talk more about it. I do, and as we get closer, my initial kind of instincts is that I think without Cam Smith, I think the international team's going to be a little more feisty than Europe was. Like they'll be harder to beat, I think. So the first day might be a little bit closer than people think it will be. But then I think just in the end, like you guys said, the US is just too talented and there's too many guys that are experiencing it for the first time to have them lose. Right.
Yeah.
So because Cam Young is like having him as your in theory 10th best player is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because that guy is
Yeah.
absurd. Especially at a place like Quail Hollow. I can't imagine. And of course they'll have it all tricked out for the US guys and whatnot. So it really we'll get as it gets closer. It's only
And
it's not
Quill
that-
Hollow is like, I mean, talk about how Whistling Straits was a little more Europe-y than some other courses. Quill Hollow is just textbook
yeah.
Parkland, like, yeah. I mean, trees, water, like not like man-made water. Like it's like America. So yeah, it'll be advantage Americans anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't think there's a chance in hell that the United States lose that. But it should be fun. It should be more competitive than the Ryder Cup. I think there'll be better matches.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ryder Cup was a snooze.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'll end with who I think should get the last captain's pick. I think Kisner will get it.
Okay.
I gotta refute you there, Bob, on the course history. He's okay. He's got a couple top tens, but he's missed the cut 4 times at Quail Hollow, so I just gotta throw that in.
But he's led the tournament like 3 times.
Okay, he's also missed the cut there 4 times.
I mean, Spieth missed cut at the Masters.
Yeah, but Spieth
So.
stinks. We're not talking about him. Aaron
Yeah.
Wise, he's an interesting one. I know you like him too, Bob.
He is very interesting because he just doesn't fit, but like the game's there.
He's played at Quail Hollow 3 times. He has 2 top 10s and a top 20.
Whoa, that makes things more interesting. I didn't know that.
I don't know how much Davis Love will look into that, but that's got to be a little.
I think you look at the one thing, my one argument against Aaron Wise. I'm not saying that Aaron Wise is a wrong pick. I'm saying that this is my this is my other side. I'm debating the other side here. If I was a Wise person, like I am a Wise fan, but like my thing about Wise is that you look at the team and you look at all these studs, young studs, and popular names, like huge names. Kevin Kisner is one of those guys. Aaron Wise just doesn't fit there. Like neither does Poston, neither does Tom Hoagie.
So your point is like you don't think Wise will be on teams in the future.
I don't think that's his point. I mean, Kisner
It's
is
not my point. It's my point that Wise would be a huge outlier, whereas Kisner would be welcomed by like everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, love this pick." And then, but if Wise is picked, people would be like, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah.
He makes
well,
a
and
fair
I
point.
think my point to that would be they'd be like, why that guy? Because he hasn't done it before, and the chances are he's probably not going to do it again, right?
I wouldn't be so sure.
Like you think Aaron Wise will be on Ryder Cup teams in the future?
I think he could. He's got a lot of talent, dude. He just hasn't been able to put together.
All right,
He's got a
Okay,
lot of
well,
talent. He could
of course he's
definitely.
talented. I'm not denying that. I just think, in agreement with your point about like the name Kisner versus the name Wise,
I'll give you this.
To me, I think the name Thigala holds more than the name Wise.
Yes.
And so my point is, I think
Dude,
Thigala
people would
has a
love if Thigala got picked.
right. No, and
I just don't see that from Wise. I don't see the hype from Wise. Does
That's
Wise
my
deserve
point.
it over Kisner and Thigala?
Yeah,
Maybe.
dude,
I
he's
mean,
at the tour
it's
championship.
really, really hard. I mean, it's impressive, but also like you'd rather win. But, like it's hard to make the championship to win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard to do. You have to play some really consistently good golf.
And
So he's been
Thigala
playing
did
well.
it too. I was there at East
Yeah.
Lake is.
Yeah.
So and Kisner's not.
Kisner's not. I mean, he was like 33 though. Like, it wasn't like he had a horrible season. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I think Kisner gets it.
I
I
agree.
think Kisner should get it. But if Kisner doesn't get it, I think Wise deserves it. But I want Thigala.
Okay.
I think the
Like, I
important
love
thing
all three of
is-
those guys. I just don't think Wise would fit on this team. I tweeted the other day that Wise and Kisner were the only two right picks, and I think that still stands.
That's fair.
I still think Wise deserves it over Thigala, but I'd rather see Thigala pick because it would be hype. Like, everyone loves Thigala. Like, that guy's
I think
Go
like the
ahead, Jordan.
important thing is like doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter who is the last
Yeah.
pick. I mean, like I don't see that pick being the reason why the US would win or lose the President's Cup. I think they're gonna win by
Yeah.
3+ points easily.
I just want to see Kisner get going on the weekend in Quell.
Well, it's probably one of Kisner's last.
Hurrah.
Yeah, his last hurrah. Send him off. He never was on a Ryder Cup team, right?
Right, because like I mean, if you think about it, Cam Young's a rookie and he's on the team. There's gonna be more Cam Youngs.
Yeah.
Maybe not as long and a power like Cam Young's really, really good.
I love Cam
But
Young, but he's replaceable.
There's gonna be more dudes that like do the Ryder Cup, like they've got that in them. And Kisner's chances just keep, going down. So this could be a good little last like Kisner's on the team thing. I have no problem with Wise. I just
I
think
don't have a
Thigala-
problem with Wise.
I think Thigala has more like. Maybe you're right. Maybe Thigala just makes me more excited if he's on the team. But I think Wise is a really good player, and I think he definitely he's been playing the best out of all the guys that are on the bubble, just per strokes gained the past like 3 months. So makes sense to me. But
I think Kisner makes it, and I think a large part of it is going to be because of guys like Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas. They're going to see these other guys that are on the bubble, and they're close with Kisner. I think that's another part of why Kisner would get picked.
The guys love Kisner. He's a fan. He's a locker room favorite out there. Everyone loves playing with Kiss.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Can't deny that.
But I don't really see how people would hate playing with Thigala either.
Yeah.
Very true.
Or Wise. Like it's not like Aaron Wise is like
There are some people like I know I like Wise. I'm a Wise fan, but as a person who has played with people like actual golf with people who putt with a broomstick, I hate it. I don't hate Wise for it, but if you were playing with it, it's weird to look at. Like really weird.
Okay. I mean, but it's all about the ball going in the hole. I mean, he probably makes more putts than Spieth and JT.
Yeah, I bet he does.
So it's like, I mean, sports are weird.
In fact, I put my life on it.
Yeah, sports are weird.
Sports
That's
are
why.
weird. We're kind of rambling. Do you want to cut it off there?
Yeah.
Well, do you have a question in the pod, Dan?
Oh my God, I had a fantastic question in the pod, and then I forgot.
Oh, you got it. You need to start writing these down.
I really do need to start writing them down. I'm not trying to come up with one on the spot. I feel like we've done a lot of food ones.
Yep.
We've done a lot of like, I guess I did some like outfit ones.
Give me. Here's your question. Here's my question, and you need to answer it. Best like underrated movie you've ever seen, and then we can debate on whether you're right or wrong.
Here's the problem is, I don't really watch movies. I've not seen enough movies.
So TV
to
show,
have an
then.
underrated movie.
TV show then.
Don't watch a ton of those
Oh,
either.
you're what?
So
I'm a TV
I
show
was
movie
busy.
nut, so
I can't help you with those. And that's why I don't ask questions about those, because I don't know a ton about them. I was thinking like, what are people's thoughts on white belts?
I'm wearing a white belt right now.
Oh,
a white belt is like the easiest go-to belt, but it looks awful with literally anything.
What if you wear
Okay.
white shorts? Like I got white shorts and a white belt. Like
I rock the white pants.
See,
yeah,
I think it's a
White-
good question.
white belts.
Well,
are
white
awesome.
with white's fine.
Yeah, anything a
But
white
white
belt with any
with-
other pants colors are horrible.
White with navy blue, maybe if you're wearing like a white, you got some white in the shirt or hat. But like
Wear the same
white
belt
with-
color as your pants, folks.
white with khaki,
no, that's
Also,
unacceptable.
there's-
yeah, unacceptable. And I do it
got a
plenty
white.
times.
I just got a white hat.
I love white hats.
It's tough to like. I don't know what to wear it with. That's my problem.
Navy, anything white and black or neutrals, Dan.
It just seems like it stands out too much, you know. If because I wear a lot of like blues and some grays, and my belt is gray, so then it just feels like the only thing I'm wearing that's white is on my head, and it just looks a little funny, you know. But anyway, let me know what you think about white belts, and whether or not you're gonna get 2K23 or you're gonna buy EA golf game whenever.
You guys
it
have
comes out.
Xbox?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have PS4. I feel like 2K23 has to have some sort of crossplay.
you'd hope in 2022. But
If they do, we need to have a Go Get the Pod live tournament.
we can make that happen.
That would be electric.
That'd
I
be
haven't played
so
that game in
funny.
so long, but
I'd get bronze
that-
medal again. That's for sure. Unless it's like the day of my life. Like in your life. Have you ever seen anything like that?
does Jordan always kick you around?
Jordan beats me a lot.
No, Dan's
But
pretty
rec-
decent.
I'm alright. I
What
make
settings did you play on? Do you play on?
the generic whatever pro.
I
don't
play
know.
on like pro with a bunch of stuff off.
Yeah, I play like Master and Pro. So,
I'm not that good. I'm not like
but like
video game-
Master's so dumb. Like if you play on Master versus Pro, it doesn't mean you're better.
No,
It just makes it more fun and challenging.
I mean I hit enough red fast anyway. So
yeah, if you get Dan on
Hey.
the course with like water left, I mean,
Red
it's-
fast to
It's-
win it, baby.
Yeah, it's not good. Enough trees and I'm in trouble. East Lake, I can't break 80. So
it was fun.
Scotland,
playing
though.
East Lake's a challenge. But I think we should end it there.
We should
Yeah.
end it there.
We'll wrap
It
it
was a
up.
pleasure.
But
We'll
Yeah,
be
and then
back
we'll
to
see-
recap the tour
For
championship
the final recap.
and then we'll have a
season.
season review type podcast, which
Yeah.
should be fun. But
Yeah.
we
in
appreciate you guys
between that.
listening.
And then the President's Cup. So
Yes, sir. Take care, y'all.
peace.
Glory, glory.